Luke chapter 19, verses 28 through 40. I'll be reading from the English Standard Version. And when he had said these things, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. When he drew near to Bethpage and Bethany, at the mount that is called Olivet, he sent two of his disciples, saying, "Go into the village in front of you, where on entering you will find a colt tied, on which no one has ever yet sat. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' you shall say this, 'The Lord has need of it.'" So those who were sent went away and found it just as he had told them. And as they were untying the colt, its owner said to them, "Why are you untying the colt?" And they said, "The Lord has need of it." And they brought it to Jesus, and throwing their cloaks on the colt, they set Jesus on it. And as he rode along, they spread their cloaks on the road. And as he was drawing near, already on the way down the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of his disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest." And some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples." He answered, "I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out." I've been thinking a little bit this week about the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem and another event in the Old Testament, David bringing the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem. Two totally different events, but they have some striking similarities. When David brought the Ark of the Covenant back into Jerusalem, for the people, that symbolized God's presence coming back into Jerusalem. When he brought it to Jerusalem, it was as if God himself was entering the city and carrying with him the blessings and the promises of God's presence. David was so excited, you know what he did. What did he do? He danced. His wife didn't like it, but he danced. Holly doesn't like my dancing either, but not for the same reason. He danced. He was so excited he could not contain himself. He danced with all of his might as the procession went through the streets of Jerusalem. And the people that day shouted for joy, praising God with trumpets blaring all around. I think you can see the similarities. Jesus' entry into Jerusalem echoed the same rejoicing. The crowds cried out, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" But unlike David's day, the people there in Jerusalem as Jesus rode in did not fully grasp that God was entering their midst. Many held Jesus as the Messiah, their long-awaited Redeemer. But their vision of the Messiah was warped. They expected a warrior to come and overthrow Rome, not a savior to redeem their souls. Few, if any, that day, I believe, saw him as God incarnate. Few saw him as God entering Jerusalem. Amid the celebration, we are told that Jesus wept. Those were not tears of joy. They were tears of grief. He mourned because the people were blind to the plan that God had. We didn't read it, but just the next couple of verses there, 41 through 44, it says, Jesus said, "If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you and encircle you and hem you in on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and the children within your walls. They will not leave one stone on another, because you did not recognize the time of God's coming to you. The crowd that day missed this moment's true weight. They missed it. Some came to see a miracle worker who had just raised Lazarus from the dead. Others simply got caught up in the frenzy of the crowd. And even those who hoped that he was the Messiah really had a warped understanding of what Messiah meant. The shouting and the rejoicing, it reached the point where the religious leaders couldn't take it anymore. And they said to Jesus, "Rebuke the people. Rebuke them. Tell them to stop shouting." I can just see them frustrated. They didn't believe Jesus was anything but a man. In their eyes, he was an evil man. In their eyes, he was disobeying God, and that he even claimed to be God. From their perspective, he was among the most vilest of mankind. How dare he allow the people to continue shouting these things as if he really was the long-awaited Messiah? How dare he? Shut them up, please. And Jesus said, if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out. You ever seen the rocks that people have for pets? Pet rocks? You ever heard any of those pet rocks bark or meow or speak? Or truly, I believe Jesus is speaking in hyperbole here. He wasn't really saying that the rocks were going to start talking, but what he was saying was this. This is a moment that has been ordained by God, and there is not one thing you can do to stop it. God's plan is unfolding. God has entered Jerusalem again, and his plan of redemption is unfolding in this moment. And that day launched a week that would change the world. A week that would complete God's redemptive work. It began with his triumphant entry. It led to Thursday evening in the upper room where Jesus observed Passover with his disciples. While in the upper room, Jesus continued to teach and was more direct about what was going to happen. And before they celebrated Passover, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Creator of all things, washed his disciples' feet. During the meal that night, Jesus revealed that Judas would be the one who would betray him. Eventually, they left the upper room and they went to the Mount of Olives. And there we know that Jesus was overwhelmed with sorrow. He prayed to his Father 3 times, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." It's obvious Jesus wasn't looking forward to what was going to be happening to him. If you knew what he knew, you wouldn't be looking forward to it either. But he was still willing to do his Father's will. In fact, we're told in Hebrews, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. What gave him joy? What was the joy set before him? I believe the joy set before him was the realization that this was his mission and his ministry, to seek and to save the lost. And what he was going to be going through was the work of redemption for all who would believe in him. So the soldiers came that night and they arrested him. A sham trial was concocted and convicted him of blasphemy for claiming to be God's son. Folks, listen to me. Jesus said, I am the Son of God. Do not think that Jesus was just a good man. If he was just a good man, he's a liar. He is the Son of God, and he claimed from his very mouth that he was the Son of God. You either believe it or you don't. But you cannot say that he was a good man if you don't believe that he was the Son of God. Before Pilate, the same crowd that had shouted, Hosanna, now shouted, crucify him. They beat him beyond recognition. If you had known him prior, you would not recognize him. They mocked him. And they nailed him to the cross. And it was there that Jesus died. The religious leaders were looking on with their smug, arrogant selves. And they likely thought, he's finished. But the truth is, it's finished, as Jesus said. It is finished. What was finished? The work Jesus came to do. What was that work? Salvation for everyone who would believe. God's work of redemption, God's work of saving people, that which was necessary for God to be able to have relationship with mankind was done. It was finished at the cross through the resurrection. Jesus Christ has done all the work. You know, sin entered the world through Adam and Eve. And the punishment for sin is death. Romans 5:12 says, therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, in this way death came to all people because all sinned. I'm going through my procedures because of sin. Not my sin per se, but just because we live in a sinful world. Your sicknesses, your loved ones dying, the fact that we're all going to die, it's all because of sin. It's all because of Adam and Eve. But Jesus has come to give us life. And since Adam and Eve's sin, God has been working his plan of redemption for his people. And redeem means he bought us back. God did everything that was necessary to erase our sin and to bring us into relationship with him again. And it is Jesus Christ who accomplished all that work. God's plan was to send Jesus as the second Adam. Jesus would do what the first Adam failed to do, and that was obey his Father perfectly. In addition to that, he would take our penalty upon himself. He would die in our place, and God would bestow on us Jesus' perfect life. I don't know how you can read those, even think about it without becoming emotional. I know who I am. You know who you are. And yet the Son of God, the very creator of all things, was willing to be nailed to a cross for me. Romans 5:18. Just as one trespass resulted in condemnation for all people, so also one righteous act resulted in justification and life for all people. For just as through the disobedience of the one man the many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the one man the many will be made righteous. Paul says it more succinctly in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, that in him we might become the righteousness of God. We were guilty because of Adam. We're innocent because we place our faith in Jesus. Were any of you around when Adam sinned? None of you were there just urging him to go ahead and eat that forbidden fruit, were you? I had nothing to do with him eating it. I had nothing to do with Adam's guilt. I earned Adam's guilt not because of anything I've done. And the same is true of my innocence. I have done nothing to earn the righteousness of God. But it is finished. The work is done. And faith is all that's necessary. Oh, that we as Christians would realize it is by faith that we are saved. That we'd quit trying to make God love us and realize He loves us and allow that love to be the catalyst for everything we do. Everything we do. Hebrews says He has appeared once for all at the culmination of the ages to do away with sin by the sacrifice of Himself. Just as people are destined to die once and after that to face judgment, so Christ was sacrificed once to take away the sins of many. And He will appear a second time, not to bear sin, but to bring salvation to those who are waiting for Him. Are you waiting for Him? Jesus will return in triumph one more time. And that day the crowd will include those who have ignored Him, those who just flatly refused to believe, and those who thought salvation required their own efforts, and those who trusted solely in His finished work. As we're going to sing in just a minute, every knee will bow. Every knee will bow. But only those who rest in Jesus alone will enter into God's eternal kingdom. It's not your goodness, it's not my goodness. We're all pretty good people, but it doesn't matter. It's the life of Jesus that saves us. The triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem is the triumph of God's plan to restore us to relationship with Him. The reality of this world, led by Satan, collided with the reality of God's plan, led by Jesus. God entered not only Jerusalem, but He entered this world to save us and to redeem us as His own and make us His children. As we begin this Holy Week, I simply want to encourage you to rejoice, to shout it if you must. But we've been redeemed. We've been bought by the blood of the Lamb. We are saved by His grace. Let us live our life knowing that the work has already been accomplished. Our salvation work is finished in Jesus Christ, and now we simply place our faith in Him, accept His love, and love Him back. God has triumphed. His plan has unfolded. Amen.